Frederick Delius, a name whispered in the annals of music history. He was a composer of rare and haunting beauty. His music evokes the soul of the Nordic landscape, vast, windswept, and filled with a profound melancholy. Born in 1862, Delius was an outsider, a restless spirit. He challenged the conventions of his time. His music, a tapestry woven from threads of romanticism and impressionism. It defied easy categorization. It was a unique blend of lush harmonies and shimmering orchestration. His melodies, both lyrical and angular, seemed to drift on the air. Delius's life was as unconventional as his music. He was a man of contradictions, a dreamer who lived in the real world, a passionate artist who craved solitude. His story is one of triumph over adversity, of unwavering dedication to his art. Born in Bradford, England, to German immigrant parents, Delius seemed destined for a life in commerce. His father, a successful wool merchant, had other plans for his son. Music, however, had already claimed Delius's soul. He was drawn to it like a moth to a flame. Despite his father's resistance, Delius pursued his passion. He sought out teachers and mentors. He devoured musical scores. His talent was undeniable, his determination unyielding. But the road ahead would be long and arduous. His early compositions hinted at the genius to come. They revealed a composer grappling with form and structure, a composer searching for his own unique voice, his music imbued with a yearning for something beyond the confines of his everyday life. Seeking inspiration, Delius embarked on a journey. He traveled to Florida, where he immersed himself in the sounds of the American South. The rhythms and melodies of the African-American spirituals he encountered there left an indelible mark on his music. He later settled in France, drawn to its artistic spirit and bohemian lifestyle. It was there, amidst the rolling hills and sun-drenched vineyards, that Delius found his true voice as a composer. His music blossomed, his compositions infused with the colors and sense of his surroundings. They captured the essence of nature, the play of light and shadow, the ebb and flow of the tides. Delius had found his muse. Delius's music, though rooted in the Romantic tradition, possessed a distinctive Nordic flavor. This was no accident. His family's heritage ran deep in Scandinavian soil. His parents, though living in England, instilled in him a love for the stark beauty of their homeland. Summers spent in Norway left an indelible mark on the young Delius. The dramatic fjords, the endless skies, the crystalline air, these all found their way into his musical imagination. He developed a deep affinity for the music of Edvard Grieg. He saw in Grieg a kindred spirit. He responded to Grieg's use of folk melodies. He admired Grieg's ability to capture the essence of the Norwegian landscape in sound. This deep connection with nature would become a defining characteristic of Delius's own music. From the Black Forest to the Florida swamps, Delius's early years were a study in contrasts. He was born into a world of Victorian propriety, yet he yearned for something more. His family's wealth provided him with a comfortable life, but it also stifled his artistic spirit. His father, a practical man, saw little value in music. He pushed Delius towards a career in business. Delius, however, had other ideas. He rebelled against his father's wishes. This rebellion would take him far from the confines of his upbringing. It would lead him to the sun-drenched orange groves of Florida. It would lead him to the vibrant artistic salons of Paris. It would lead him ultimately to himself. Grieg, the guiding star. In 1888, Delius, defying his father's wishes, embarked on a life-changing journey. He set sail for America, his destination Florida. He was drawn to the state's subtropical climate. He was captivated by its exotic allure. He found work on an orange plantation. He immersed himself in the local culture. He was particularly drawn to the music of the African-American workers. He heard in their songs a raw, untamed beauty. This experience would have a profound influence on his music. He began to incorporate elements of blues and jazz into his compositions. He found a new freedom of expression. He was breaking free from the constraints of European tradition. the language of nature. Delius's time in Florida was a period of intense creativity. He began to compose in earnest. He drew inspiration from the natural world around him. The sights, the sounds, the smells of the Florida swamps all found their way into his music. His compositions from this period are filled with a sense of longing and solitude. They speak of a deep connection with the natural world. They hint at the spiritual journey that Delius was undertaking. He was discovering his own unique voice. He was finding a way to express the inexpressible. He was learning to speak the language of nature. From the sun-drenched landscapes of Florida, Delius was drawn to the cultural melting pot of Paris. He arrived in the city in 1890 and was immediately swept up in its energy and excitement. He found kindred spirits amongst the artists and writers of the Bohemian Montmartre district. He met artists like Toulouse-Lautrec and Gauguin, and rubbed shoulders with writers like Oscar Wilde and Paul Verlaine. Finding himself at the epicenter of the avant-garde, he was exposed to new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new ways of making art. Paris was a crucible in which Delius's artistic vision was forged. It was here that he would come into his own as a composer, ready to take the world by storm and share his unique musical vision with the world. The 1890s marked a turning point in Delius's career. He had found his voice, a unique blend of late Romantic harmony and impressionistic color. His music, though often challenging to audiences accustomed to the traditional sounds of the day, began to attract attention. His breakthrough came in 1897 with the premiere of his orchestral work, Paris, Song of a Great City. This evocative piece, inspired by his time in the French capital, showcased Delius's ability to capture the essence of a place and time in music. Critics, while sometimes puzzled by Delius's unconventional harmonies and structures, recognized the originality of his voice. Here was a composer who refused to be pigeonholed, charting his own course and following his own muse wherever it might lead him. Delius's music was deeply personal, reflecting his own inner landscape, his love of nature, his fascination with the mysteries of life and death, and his yearning for a world beyond the everyday. All of these found expression in his compositions. His orchestral works, such as On Hearing the First Cuckoo in Spring and Summer Night on the River, evoke the tranquility of the English countryside. These pieces are filled with a sense of nostalgia, a longing for a simpler time. But Delius's music also explored darker emotions. His Brig Fair, inspired by an English folk tune, hints at a hidden melancholy beneath its cheerful facade. His Nocturne is a hauntingly beautiful meditation on the fleeting nature of life. The sea held a particular fascination for Delius. Perhaps it was its vastness, its power, its mystery that drew him in. Whatever the reason, the sea became a recurring motif in his music. His orchestral masterpiece, Seadrift, sets Walt Whitman's poetry to music. It is a work of profound emotional depth, exploring themes of loss, longing, and the eternal cycle of life and death. The music ebbs and flows like the tide, its vastness mirrored in Delius's soaring melodies. Even when not explicitly about the sea, Delius's music often evokes its presence. His use of extended harmonies, his fluid rhythms, his shimmering orchestration, all of these create a sense of vastness, of being adrift on an endless ocean of sound. Delius's ambition as a composer knew no bounds. He yearned to explore the dramatic possibilities of opera. His first foray into the genre, Coanga, was a bold experiment. It told a story of love and tragedy set against the backdrop of slavery in the American South. Though Coanga was not an immediate success, it demonstrated Delius's ability to write for the voice. His melodies, though often challenging for singers, possessed a haunting beauty that lingered in the memory. His later operas, A Village, Romeo and Juliet, and Fenimore and Gerda, explored themes of love, loss, and the search for happiness. These works, though rarely performed today, are masterpieces of the operatic repertoire. Delius's personal life was as complex and unconventional as his music. In 1897, he met Jelka Rosen, a painter who would become his wife and muse. Their relationship, though often tempestuous, was one of deep love and artistic collaboration. Jelka was Delius's staunchest supporter, his confidant, his champion. She created a home for him in Grèze-sur-Loing, France, where he could compose in peace. Her paintings often adorned the covers of his musical scores, but their happiness was marred by tragedy. Delius's health began to deteriorate. He was diagnosed with syphilis, a debilitating disease that would eventually leave him paralyzed and blind. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 was a devastating blow to Delius. He was a pacifist by nature, and the war filled him with despair. He retreated further into himself, finding solace in his music. Despite his declining health, Delius continued to compose. His music from this period, though often tinged with sadness, is never without hope. His Requiem, written in memory of his son who died in the war, is a powerful meditation on life and death. Delius's music, though often overlooked during his lifetime, began to gain wider recognition in the years after the war. Conductors like Sir Thomas Beecham championed his work, bringing it to new audiences. Delius's unique voice, once considered too radical, was finally being heard. The idyllic life Delius and Jelka had built in their tranquil French countryside home was not immune to the harsh realities of life. The spectre of illness, a constant companion for many in that era, cast its long shadow over their lives. Delius, once a robust and energetic man, began to experience a slow, insidious decline in health. The diagnosis, when it finally came, was devastating. Syphilis, a cruel and unforgiving disease, had taken hold of Delius's body. The news struck a blow to his very core, shaking the foundations of his existence. Yet even as the disease began its relentless assault, Delius refused to surrender to despair. His spirit, though wounded, remained unbroken. He continued to compose, drawing strength from the wellspring of his creativity. Music became his refuge, his solace, a way to transcend the physical limitations imposed by his illness. As the years passed, Delius's condition worsened. The once vibrant composer, full of life and energy, found himself increasingly debilitated. His body, once a vessel of boundless creativity, gradually betrayed him. The world around him, once a source of endless inspiration, began to fade as his eyesight dimmed. Blindness, a particularly cruel fate for any artist, robbed Delius of his ability to engage with the world on his own terms. He could no longer lose himself in the vibrant colors of Jelka's paintings, nor could he wander freely through the gardens he loved so dearly. The world had shrunk to the confines of his own mind, yet even in the face of such adversity, Delius's spirit refused to be extinguished. He would not allow darkness to consume him entirely. His love for music, his unwavering belief in its power, remained undimmed. Throughout Delius's long and arduous struggle with illness, Jelka remained his steadfast companion. She was his rock, his anchor, the one constant in a world that had become increasingly unpredictable. Her love for him never wavered, her devotion never faltered. With unwavering patience and compassion, Jelka took on the role of Delius's caregiver. His eyes, his hands in a world that had grown dark and silent. She read to him, wrote down his musical ideas, and tirelessly advocated for his music to be heard, ensuring that his creative voice would not be silenced by his physical limitations. Jelka's unwavering support was more than just the act of a devoted wife. It was an act of love that transcended the boundaries of marriage. She understood the depth of Delius's creative spirit, and she dedicated herself to nurturing it, even as his body failed him. Unable to see the notes on the page, unable to play the instruments he loved, Delius found a way to keep the flame of his creativity burning bright. He dictated his music, note by painstaking note, to Jelka, who transcribed his every musical thought with meticulous care. His later works, composed in the shadow of illness, possess a haunting beauty, a depth of emotion that resonates deeply with listeners. They are a testament to the indomitable spirit of a man who refused to let adversity extinguish his creative spark. Pieces like Songs of Sunset and The Splendor of God shimmer with a transcendent quality, a sense of peace that belies the composer's physical suffering. Delius's music became a lifeline, a way to connect with the world, to transcend the limitations of his physical body. Through music, he could still express the full range of human emotions, from the depths of despair to the heights of joy. The final years of Delius's life were a poignant blend of triumph and tragedy. He was hailed as a genius by a new generation of composers and musicians, yet he was unable to fully enjoy the fruits of his labor. His music, once considered too radical, too modern, was finally being embraced by audiences worldwide. In 1929, a grand festival was held in London to celebrate Delius's music. Conductors and orchestras from across Europe traveled to England to pay homage to the ailing composer. Though too weak to attend most of the performances, Delius was deeply moved by the outpouring of support. Frederick Delius died on June 10, 1934, at the age of 72. He was laid to rest in a simple grave in an English churchyard, far from the sun-drenched landscapes that had so inspired his music. But his legacy, like the music he left behind, continues to resonate with listeners around the world. His story, one of courage, resilience, and the transcendent power of art, serves as an inspiration to us all. Frederick Delius left behind a legacy as unique and unconventional as the man himself. He didn't belong to any particular school of music. He didn't forge a new path that others readily followed. He was an outsider, a solitary figure who charted his own course through the musical landscape of his time. His music, often considered too individualistic, too emotionally charged for the prevailing tastes of his era, found a lasting place in the hearts of listeners who connected with its raw, unfiltered beauty. He didn't seek to please the critics or to conform to expectations. He wrote from the heart, pouring his soul into every note. His legacy is not one of grand symphonies or operas that dominate the standard repertoire. It is a quieter legacy built on the enduring power of individual expression, the profound connection between music and nature, and the triumph of the human spirit over adversity. Delius's music is often described as impressionistic, a term that, while capturing the evocative nature of his sound world, doesn't fully encompass the depth and breadth of his musical language. He was a master of orchestration, painting vivid sonic landscapes with a palette of orchestral colors that shimmered and shifted like sunlight on water. His deep connection with nature infused his music with a sense of timelessness, a quality that transcends the boundaries of any particular era. Listening to Delius is to be transported to a world of shimmering heat haze, fragrant orange groves, and the endless expanse of the sea. It is to experience nature's raw power and delicate beauty, distilled into sound. His music is a reminder that the natural world holds a profound power to inspire and to heal, a message that resonates with particular urgency in our own time of environmental awareness. While Delius didn't spawn a school of imitators, his influence can be heard in the works of later composers who dared to push the boundaries of tonality and explore new sonic possibilities. These composers, inspired by Delius's innovative spirit, often incorporated his use of extended harmonies, his fluid approach to musical form, and his unique ability to blend different musical textures seamlessly. Delius's ability to evoke mood and atmosphere through subtle shifts in orchestration paved the way for the innovations of later generations. His techniques became a foundation upon which others could build. Composers like Ralph Vaughan Williams and Gerald Finzi, who shared Delius's love of English folk melody and his fascination with capturing the essence of the natural world in music, acknowledged his influence on their own work. They saw in Delius a kindred spirit who also sought to translate the beauty of the English countryside into musical form. Vaughan Williams, in particular, often spoke of how Delius's music opened new vistas for him. And while his music may not be overtly present in the works of minimalist composers like Steve Reich and Philip Glass, their shared interest in exploring the hypnotic power of repetition and the subtle interplay of consonance and dissonance can be seen as a continuation of Delius's own sonic explorations. These modern composers, though different in style, echo Delius's quest for new musical expressions. Delius's music continues to inspire contemporary composers, reminding them that true originality lies not in rejecting the past, but in building upon it, in finding new ways to express the timeless emotions that connect us all. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of innovation and creativity. As modern musicians delve into the archives of classical music, they often find themselves drawn to Delius's works, discovering new layers of meaning and inspiration. In this way, Delius's music continues to resonate, bridging the past and the present and enriching the future of music. Despite the efforts of champions like Sir Thomas Beecham, who tirelessly promoted Delius's music during his lifetime and beyond, the composer's work fell into relative obscurity in the decades following his death. The complexities of his harmonic language, his unconventional approach to musical form, and the deeply personal nature of his musical expression didn't fit neatly into the prevailing trends of the mid-20th century. However, as the musical landscape shifted and listeners became more receptive to music that defied easy categorization, Delius's star began to rise once more. Recordings of his major works, once a rarity, became more widely available, introducing his music to a new generation hungry for sounds that spoke to the soul. Today, Delius's music is experiencing a renaissance. Orchestras around the world are programming his works, recognizing their enduring beauty and emotional depth. New generations of listeners are discovering the unique magic of his sound world, finding solace and inspiration in his music's ability to transport them to a realm of pure sonic beauty. In a world saturated with information, bombarded by a constant barrage of sounds and images, Delius's music offers a sanctuary, a place of quiet contemplation. His music, with its long flowing lines, its shimmering harmonies, and its profound connection to the natural world, invites us to slow down, to breathe, to reconnect with the simple yet profound beauty that surrounds us. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of music to transcend boundaries, to connect with listeners across cultures and generations. Delius's music speaks to the human spirit, reminding us of our deep-seated need for beauty, for connection, for moments of transcendence in a world that often feels chaotic and fragmented. Frederick Delius may have been a man out of time, but his music, with its timeless beauty and its message of hope and resilience, remains as relevant as ever in our ever-changing world. Frederick Delius's life, much like the closing movement of his Grieg Fair, faded into a quiet, contemplative close. His compositions, filled with the essence of nature and human emotion, mirrored the serene yet profound end of his own journey. The once vibrant composer, now frail and confined to his home in Grèze-sur-Loing, was surrounded by the love of his devoted Jelka and the echoes of the music that had sustained him through years of hardship. Their home, a sanctuary of creativity and love, was filled with memories of a life lived in pursuit of artistic excellence. The world outside, with its wars and its indifference, seemed a distant rumble compared to the quiet solace of his music room. Here, amidst the familiar surroundings, Delius found peace, his spirit intertwined with the melodies that had once flowed so effortlessly from his mind. As the sun dipped below the horizon each evening, casting long shadows across his beloved garden, Delius would sit by the window, his hand resting on Jelka's as she read to him from their worn copies of Whitman and Nietzsche. These moments, filled with quiet companionship and intellectual stimulation, were a testament to their enduring bond. The world may have moved on, but for Delius, time seemed to stand still, measured only by the rhythm of his breathing and the gentle cadence of Jelka's voice. Each tick of the clock was a reminder of the preciousness of their remaining time together. His physical presence may have dimmed, but his spirit, fueled by an unquenchable thirst for beauty and expression, continued to burn bright. Even in his final years, Delius's mind was a wellspring of creativity, his thoughts often drifting to new compositions and the beauty of the world around him. His legacy, like the embers of a dying fire, glowed with a warmth and intensity that transcended the physical limitations of his final years. The music he left behind, a testament to his genius, continues to inspire and move those who listen, ensuring that his spirit lives on through the ages. Looking back on Delius's life and work, one is struck by the sheer audacity of his vision. Born into a world steeped in Victorian tradition, he dared to break free from the constraints of convention, forging his own path through the uncharted territories of late Romantic and Impressionistic music. He absorbed the influences of his contemporaries, from Grieg's haunting melodies to Wagner's grand operatic gestures, but he never allowed himself to be confined by them. Instead, he took these disparate threads of musical inspiration and wove them into a tapestry that was uniquely his own. His music, like the man himself, defies easy categorization. It is both deeply personal and universally resonant, rooted in the landscapes of his youth, yet reaching out to embrace the vastness of the human experience. His legacy is not one of rigid adherence to established forms or a desire to please the critics. Delius's music is a testament to the power of individual expression, a celebration of the human spirit's ability to find beauty and meaning even in the face of adversity. Delius often referred to himself as a lonely star, a solitary figure navigating the vast expanse of the musical cosmos. He was content to stand apart from the crowd, to follow his own muse wherever it might lead him, even if it meant sacrificing popular acclaim. And yet, despite his self-imposed isolation, Delius's music speaks to a deep-seated human need for connection, for belonging, for a sense of place in the grand scheme of things. His music, with its evocative melodies and shimmering harmonies, has the power to transport us, to lift us out of the mundane and into a realm of pure sonic beauty. Listening to Delius is to embark on a journey, a voyage of discovery that takes us from the sun-drenched orange groves of Florida to the windswept moors of his native England. His music is a beacon, a solitary star illuminating our path through the darkness, reminding us that even in our loneliest moments, we are united by the shared language of music. Close your eyes and listen to the opening bars of Delius's Florida Suite, and you can almost smell the heady fragrance of orange blossoms carried on the warm breeze. Let the music of sea drift wash over you, and you can feel the salt spray on your face, the vastness of the ocean stretching out before you. Delius's music is inseparable from the landscapes that inspired it. He had an uncanny ability to capture the essence of a place, to distill its sights, sounds, and smells into musical form. His music is a love letter to the natural world, a celebration of its beauty and its power to move us. In an age of increasing urbanization and technological saturation, Delius's music serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of connecting with the natural world, of finding solace and inspiration in the beauty that surrounds us. Frederick Delius may have lived a relatively short life, a life cut short by illness and hardship. Born in 1862, he faced numerous challenges that would have deterred many, yet he persevered, channeling his experiences into his music. But in his music, he achieved a kind of immortality. His compositions, rich with emotion and depth, have transcended time, touching the hearts of countless listeners. His legacy lives on, not in statues or monuments, but in the hearts and minds of those who continue to be moved by the power of his music. Each note, each melody, carries with it a piece of his soul, a testament to his enduring spirit. His story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, the ability to find beauty and meaning even in the face of adversity. Despite the many obstacles he faced, Delius never lost his passion for music. Delius's music, with its timeless themes of love, loss, and the search for meaning, continues to resonate with listeners across generations. His compositions evoke a range of emotions, from profound sorrow to unbridled joy, reminding us that despite the passage of time and the inevitability of change, some things remain eternal. His music serves as a bridge between the past and the present, connecting us to a bygone era while remaining relevant today. So the next time you find yourself yearning for a moment of peace, a respite from the noise and chaos of the world, remember the music of Frederick Delius. Take a moment to listen to his compositions. Let the intricate harmonies and delicate melodies transport you to a place of tranquility. Let his melodies wash over you. Let his harmonies soothe your soul and feel the weight of the world lift from your shoulders. Allow yourself to be transported to a world where beauty reigns supreme and the human spirit triumphs over adversity. In this world, the music of Frederick Delius serves as a guiding light. For in the embrace of his eternal music, we find not only solace but also a renewed sense of hope and wonder. His legacy is a reminder that art in its purest form has the power to heal and inspire.